right. So we are live on Facebook. Kyran Ashford, welcome. How are you doing today?
Oh, I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And you know what? I think it's so wonderful. One of the things I've been speaking to lately is that sometimes friendships blossom out of the most unique opportunities.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
never know what lies ahead in the moments to come. So, Kyran, we kind of met in a pretty serendipitous, out of the ordinary way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
you'll have to hold on one second. My video is glitching out just a bit, and I want to make sure we don't lose anything here chatting today. I want to make sure it feeds appropriately. So I'm just going to shut a few windows that I might have running in the background.
Okay.
Hopefully that works. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Pivoting with technical glitches. So Kyran, you are in Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York, born and raised.
Born and raised. And tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are.
All right. Here in Rochester, New York, I work with Southwest Airlines. To be technical, I work for a contract company called Jetstream Ground Services. We service Southwest Airlines, and I am an operations agent. I'm your guy that's at the gate, a whole bunch of noise, entertaining the passengers, getting up on their feet, clapping, singing, dancing, getting them prepared for their flight, and overall getting all the passengers situated to depart and make sure everything goes smooth with the flight. I've been doing this for this August will be 8 years, and I love what I do. I love engaging with people. I love making them feel good, making them smile, make sure they have a good time.
You know, you started to slip into a little bit of a rhyme there, and that's kind of what you're well known for.
Oh my God, you've done your homework. You did your homework. Oh,
I posted the link. What I love, when I got to know you better, what I loved about who I saw is that you, Kyran, sees every moment to make the world a better place.
Yes, ma'am.
You find those actionable moments where you have a decision to go right or left, and you always choose the right path. I mean, from what I see, you really invest yourself in the lives of other people.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did that for me in a really incredible way on a day that I was a mess.
Yes.
I was a wreck. So tell me a little bit, tell everyone watching a little bit about how we met.
Okay, so as we discussed, it was a little over a year ago now. I'm operating a flight. If I can remember the destination, it was going from Rochester to Orlando.
Orlando, Florida.
So your son was on the plane, and it was either due to weather or maintenance leaving out of Rochester, but the plane had to return back to the gate and everyone had to come off just so we could follow proper protocol and get everything situated.
So we actually had him scheduled for a layover in Chicago, and they rerouted mid-flight, I believe, to Rochester.
That's right. That's right. So, that's right. So I don't even think he was even originally supposed to come to Rochester.
Yeah. My sister's in Chicago, so it was his first independent flight ever.
On his own.
On his own.
And what an experience he had. Yep. So here we are in Rochester. Again, like you said, originally supposed to go to Chicago, but it diverted here to Rochester, and we're taking care of the flight. All the passengers had to come off the flight because it kept being delayed further out, and to the point where it looked like it was not flying out at all that night. So I'm assisting with passengers, but for some reason, out of all these people, he caught my eye. And one thing for me, especially as a parent, if I see a child on his own and I can sense that he's kind of, just disoriented about everything, just kind of confused and kind of panicking about it, naturally, and this isn't anything that you're trained on, this is just, now I'm just tapped into who I am and how my heart is set up for, children, especially in this situation. So I see him, I approach him, I ask him what's going on. He gives me as many details as he could. And by this time, he's already speaking to you. So I'm like, okay, I need to the best of my ability, get his mom, get the parents to understand that, because it's completely out of your hands. There's nothing you can do. So
Nothing.
I can only imagine what's going through your mind. So I'm like, okay, this is where I not only just want to go over and beyond, but I need to, because I need to make sure that they both are comfortable as much as possible. So
Yeah,
I'm on the
we
phone with
couldn't
you.
drive there if we wanted to get there before dark. There was
Yeah.
no way to drive up to Rochester, New York. There were no
Yeah.
flights in and out that would get us there in time. And we could not get him out of Rochester, New York. We tried every possible destination, including like me flying to Dallas and flying him to Dallas, the
Because
opposite
you were
direction.
ready to do any and
There's
everything you had to do.
nothing we
You
could
were ready
do.
to do any and everything you had to do. And I completely understood it. But I'm like, okay, sensing the vibe that you were getting off, I'm like, she's ready to stop everything and come get her son, as she should. So how
Mama
can
bear
I
mode came out.
how can I prevent that by making sure she's comfortable and knowing that he will be taken care of and he will come home safely? So as time going by, I'm giving you every piece of detail from minor to major to add to your comfort, let you know what's going on hour by hour. It got to the point where he had to stay the night in Rochester. So
and your airport closes, so it's not like a 24-hour airport like we have in Orlando. Your airport shuts down, so he would have been out on the street.
Exactly. And it's like it's open, but because he was on the secure side, all the TSA security agents had to wipe that side out. So side. And I that didn't sit right with me at all. I'm not about to know a child is on the public side where he's exposed to everything. And that'd be that. So luckily we have just like most airports, there's a hotel right there inside of the airport. I communicate with you again, letting you know that me and my team took care of his room. We got him some food. And even at
you
that,
got him a whole pizza. He was like in heaven. It was like Home Alone. He's munching on this pepperoni pizza. He's like, Mom, I want to do this again. I'm like, no.
Yeah. he said he won't do it again.
He was great. He was like, by the end of it, the way that you took care of him, I mean, he went into it with a lot of trepidation and anxiety, and he was so polite, Midwestern polite. He didn't want to interrupt or budge in line or anything. And I'm like, Justice, there are adults. They can handle themselves. I need you to get me in front of someone now.
Right.
And he was so intimidated to do that. So if you hadn't stepped up and stepped in, I don't know that he would have had the courage to come reach out to you. And not only that, you gave me your direct cell phone number if there was anything I needed. And
because
also made sure he got there in the morning.
This is your child we're talking about. So I have to think, if I'm her, I don't care if I get your social security number. I need to know everything because my child is out of my reach, and I need to make sure I feel as if I'm there with them. That's how much information I would need. So I'm like, you know what? If I know I'm gonna feel that way, I need to make sure you feel the same way. And I believe I did that.
You knocked it out of the park. You were a lifesaver. I don't think I've ever come out of such a stressful situation feeling so confident and secure. And you restored my faith in humanity, and I want to thank you. Thank you. I want to actually turn this into a difficult conversation. And I want to ask a question that's very pertinent to today's cultural dynamic. Now, I know my heart. I know who I am, and I would do that just like you would do that for any child. Any child who needs help, any person who needs help, I'm there for them. We share a lot of commonality in the fact that if there's a moment where we're called into action, we'll go. No questions asked, we're just there. Like I feel that about you, and I feel that kind of, we have kindred spirits in that way, and I love you for that. But I have to ask, with everything going on right now, the thought that, and someone brought this up to me, I have a family member who is from an African country, and out of respect for that person, they've asked me not to talk a lot about their situation, and I won't. But there was an opportunity for them to be in public with my child, and if anything were to go wrong or bad or happen, I don't even know how to, I'm gonna work my way backwards.
Say the best. That's the only way we'll be able to tap into the source and come up with a solution and be able to dialogue with it. So
forgive me for just being open and raw.
No,
it breaks my heart to think that if my son had a different skin color, that maybe he wouldn't have been treated with that respect.
Wow.
And that I don't even want to think that way, but with everything happening today, I do not want any child being raised in a world where someone wouldn't do that for everyone else's child. You know what I mean?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I am doing well. I'm doing very well because every day I'm doing what I need to do to raise my children and train them up in the way they need to go and protect them and teach them everything I need to teach them as they continue to get older. So with this world, wow, with what's going on today, as a young parent such as myself at 33 years old, experiencing the things that I've experienced and knowing that my two sons, all my children, but especially my two African-American sons, the chances are great for them to run into situations, unfortunate situations like we're seeing on the internet, social media, TV right now. It's scary. Yeah. It is very scary. And it's so much that goes with it, but all I know to keep it simplified in my mind is, okay, Kyran, understand that you cannot control every situation. Understand that when my sons get at a certain age, they have to, I'm sorry, 1 second.
No.
Okay, incline, boom, okay. They have to be able to branch out on their own and experience life for themselves. So my job right now, while they're young, while I'm still, able to hold them tight, is to get them to understand at an early age that you're going to experience a lot of different things in this world. You're going to experience it to the best of your ability and to the best of my teachings. This is how you would need to handle it. For example, so say my oldest son, pretty soon, the time is going to fly. He's going to be able to drive. He's going to be able to drive maybe with his friends, maybe on his own. He may get pulled over. He may get pulled over for no reason. He may get pulled over for a reason, a headlight is out, whatever the case is. But if it comes to that point, your job is to comply with everything the officer is saying, regardless of the skin color. So for us being raw right now, it's a lot of white policemen engaging with a lot of black men. And what we're seeing on social media and what we're seeing on the television is the results is not turning out, good. So, but I told him, I said, if you are in this situation, say, for example, you get pulled over and the second you see them lights come on, you pull over immediately. You don't drag it out no longer. You pull over and you put your hands on the steering wheel or the dash. You do it. You do it. And when they come up and ask for your license registration, you let him know that this is what I'm going to do. I am going to, oh man, for the fact that we even like that, for the fact that I have to go this far for my children's protection, it's scary and it breaks my heart because it can happen to them. But I have to let them know this is how you handle it, because there's an opportunity, there's a chance that because you look like a threat, it can go left. It is what it is. That is not to say that every single white officer is coming from a negative standpoint. I know white officers that are really good guys. So one thing I don't want to do, and I don't want to teach my sons, is to think that they all are bad.
Right.
No, we just talking about the few that take advantage of their badge and their gun, regardless of the skin color. So again, I tell them, this is the necessary steps you take. If you ask for your license and registration, okay, sir, I am getting ready to reach for my license and registration. Most likely your license is in your back pocket. That means you have to reach. That means you have to reach. Sir, while my hands are here, I just want to clarify with you that I'm going to reach for my license in my back pocket. Okay, go ahead and do so. While you're doing it, keep one hand on the dash and use your other hand to go get your wallet. Don't move both hands. You are doing what you need to do. And so what if the cop gets offended by how you're going about it? You are making sure the situation remains in control and safe, period. Because you have so many situations where young black men like myself, they would take it the wrong way. Oh, why are you pulling me over? No, you pulled me over for a reason. It's my job to assume that it is for a reason. I don't come out the gate and start asking questions just because I feel that you should not have pulled me over. No, let me make sure I handle this to where we both do not feel threatened by each other, regardless of what's going on in this world. Reach for your license, hand him your license and registration. He's then most likely he should tell you why you pulled him, why you were pulled over, even if you disagree. Okay, sir, you have the right to stay how you feel. I don't feel I was going that fast, but I do understand the situation that we're in. I will remain here while you go and check my license. That happened to me. I I was in the wrong. I was speeding to work. I'm sorry to keep going on, but just to
No, I want you to keep going. That's the whole point, is to listen, listen. And Kyran, everyone right now should be hearing this. I don't care what color your skin is, hear this, because it should not happen that way.
Yes.
It should not be like that. And I just, there's never going to be an apology big enough for the gap in the injustice right now from anyone. No one can say a big enough "I'm sorry" to make up for the wrong that's been done. And my hope is that people will listen and hear and understand, because I think there are a lot of people who don't know what you're saying right now, who don't understand that these are the conversations that Black parents are having with their children right now, is how not to get shot. That's not okay. And I'm crying and I'm emotional because it's not okay. And we need to start saying that louder and clearer until this stops happening. It's not okay. And I'm so grateful. I know that you're very touched and moved right now to a point where you've shut down your social media account because of how much this has to touch.
It's a lot going on. And sometimes I have to protect, I was always taught to protect my eye gate and my ear gate. And when we feel like we can handle everything that's going on social media, sometimes you got to be honest with yourself and be like, you know what? Let me go ahead and back up. Let me cut this off, because regardless if I'm watching it or not, all these things are still going on. So let me get a breath of fresh air by detoxing from it for a while, focus more on what's more important, which is my family, as I always do, but turn it up on my focus on that and leave that alone for however, 30 days, 60 days, whatever the case is, until I feel like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go back into it, whatever the case is. But you're absolutely right. It's not fair. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And again, you know, my job is just to make sure I still in my sons and all my children on what's going on, because they're seeing it. They all have electronics. They have no choice but to see it, regardless of what social media platform or ad or whatever it is coming up. So I don't want social media and the media to be the first to show my children this is what's going on. No, let me break it down to you now. Since you have no choice but to see it, let me go ahead and do what I'm supposed to do by teaching you now. So when you do see it, you don't have to look at it from the media's perspective or from that 30-second clip of what happened, that perspective. No, let me teach you the whole perspective to the best of my knowledge, and then we go from there.
That, sir, is good parenting.
Yeah.
That is good parenting. And the fact that you're shaping and molding your sons, and forgive me, you have 4 children total, correct?
2 boys, 2 girls, yes.
2 boys, 2 girls. So the fact that you're shaping your family to be better human beings and to take control over what they can affect in their day-to-day life is so admirable. And that's really the reason, the point behind these conversations and me starting this Project Humanity chat series is that there's so many articles, there's so many press releases and newscasts, there are so many quotes being shared and memes, but I'm not seeing the conversations. I'm not seeing men like yourself telling the story about how they had to teach their children how not to get killed tomorrow.
Yes.
Like, I'm not seeing people stand up and tell their story about how they've been discriminated against, and I'm not seeing people listening.
Yes.
And that's what I want more of for society, because we need to understand each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, I sit on the board of directors for an African an African art, culture, history, and heritage museum opening up here in Orlando. And I'm doing it for my own personal reasons. This was last August, long before some of this stuff started to happen. But, you know, I've seen instances where it's like, hey, white girl, what are you doing in our space? You have no place here. We can do this on our own.
Yes.
And I think in the past I was offended by that because I really have a heart to help. But now I understand. I understand that, you know, being empowered from within and being confident and being able to represent your heritage and your history from your standpoint through your voice. You know, no one needs us stepping in. But I don't know what to say or how to say it. I just know that I care and I want to listen.
And that's where it starts. Like you brought up a point in regards of the and correct me if I'm wrong, the group you're in, the African culture group.
Bronze Kingdom Museum.
Okay. And you said initially you were offended by how you may have been viewed or what was said to you as far as
it was more implicit versus explicit, and only a couple people versus the whole. So I don't want to make it seem.
Oh, no. Right. Okay. Understood. Yeah. Now, you were coming from a perspective of wanting to learn because you care. Mm-hmm. That alone outweighs the race conversation. Because if the people wanted to learn and care as well, then y'all have something in common. It should not, at that point, I shouldn't judge you off of your skin color or feel that you don't belong just because of what I see. I ain't even give you a chance to open up your mouth yet and say anything, but here they are already making a judgment because of what you look like. That's not fair to you when you truly and wholeheartedly care and want to help. So I think that that's where my community goes wrong, because we want things to be better. But because of what has been going on, what's going on, it puts us in a position where we're back, our back is on the fence and our guard is up to the point where we don't want to even give it a chance because we don't know what direction it's going to go to. We don't know if you have a motive. We don't know those things. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it still takes somebody with a certain level of maturity to understand, like, not all Black people are this way. Not all white people are this way. So until you prove yourself to be that person, I can't be the one to make the call to be like, nope, don't trust you out the gate. You know what I mean? When we had our, I'm so sorry, but when we had our interaction, it wasn't about skin color. It was not about skin color. You had no, honestly, you pretty much had no choice but to trust what I was telling you, because even with my skin color being different from yours. I had your son in my possession, and the end result was him returning home safely to you. So what does that say? Because I cared. I wanted to help, regardless of what I looked like.
Your actions, your tone of voice, your eye contact, how you engaged with me and my son, it's about that human connection. It's about seeing us all as people. And honestly, I'm trying to bring on as diverse of a group of human beings as possible to show not every Black person is the same, not every white person's the same. And there are so many variations of socioeconomic background, you know, the location, geographic diversity, that we're all so unique. And Kyran, you're not the same as any other person I've ever met. You are completely original. And the passion with which you engage your life shows, it shines in everything you do. And I posted links. People can look on my Facebook page. Kyran's page is down right now, but you can go ahead and see, you know, he's been on Steve Harvey for his rhyme. And I can you do just a little snippet of it? Oh my God! No, I won't make you. I won't put you on.
No, that's fine. You're
so good at engaging people. Happy.
Right. So you talking about the snippet of the song I did when I was standing with them?
It was fun.
All right. So real quick, very small background about it. I wrote that song back in 2015. And it was based off of me and my partner that were working a flight. and we made a small bet. He said, if you lose, you have to say your boarding. And I said, but you got to do it in a song. I'm like, what? I said, first of all, I'm not going to lose. I ended up losing and I had to do it. So I literally wrote it in like 6 minutes. I was like, okay, just think of something. But who would have known it would have followed me all the way to the Steve Harvey show. So that's how that came about.
And you were headed to Orlando that day.
I was headed to Orlando that day.
Yeah, that's where your flight was going.
Yes, exactly. Yep, that's right. I like you. You do your homework on the screen. That's right. I was going to Orlando. So yeah, that was that. And here's my snippet. Okay, I remember. Good morning, everyone. How you doing today? Thank you all for choosing SWA. Now sit back, relax, and have a good time while I give you the boarding procedure in these nice rhymes. First things first, only 2 bags. If you got a third bag, then it will get tagged. Sorry for the inconvenience. Don't mean to make you sad, but more than 2 items makes the flight crew mad. Next up, we're getting ready to board. First off is everyone in the pre-board. I hope you all listen to what I got to say. The first boarding group is boarding group A. Oh, I forgot the words, but yeah, that's how I go.
So you got to do that live on the Steve Harvey show, and that had to be such an experience.
Yeah, they told me at the last second, they said, hey, do you still remember that song you did? I was like, what song? They was like, you know what song I'm talking about. Here, let me pull up the proof. I said, oh my God. They was like, okay. They didn't even ask you. They said, what you're going to do for Steve Harvey is perform this. I said, okay, all right. But it worked out. It worked out.
I'm so impressed with you. One of my passions is to really help people see that their goals and dreams are achievable through actionable steps and really seizing the opportunity within each new day. What are your hopes and dreams, Kyran? What do you aspire to do with your one beautiful life?
Oh, man. I inspire to continue to change the world the best way I know how. God created me. I was perfect. I've been created perfect in his eyes. In his eyes. He knew what he was doing when he created me. He knew what he was doing when he created every single person. He knew what he was doing when he created you. Even for you, you are walking in your calling by giving people a chance to voice how they feel, their emotions, and be able to inspire other people. That's a part of changing the world. You're changing the world. So now that I understand, and it comes a lot about knowing who you are. So because I know who I am and I have confidence in who I am, then I can take a boarding process script and change it to a song. Because it's not about a song. How do I make that person feel that's sitting there getting ready to board their flight? What was their day like before they got on that plane? Somebody could be flying to a funeral. Somebody probably just passed away that day. How can I change how you feel about life and save you from whatever you may be going through by giving you some type of happiness, give you some type of hope by cracking a joke or going over and beyond? Or even if I'm just out and about, just being my genuine self, letting them know that how I feel about me is how you can feel about yourself as well. That's all a part about changing the world. So that's what I want to continue to do.
Amen. Amen. And you do that. There's no doubt in my mind that every kind, generous, and good action that you put out there, you plant those seeds for a better, brighter tomorrow. And I believe, we reap what we sow. You are doing something so glorious for God's kingdom. And I've seen that in you. There's no doubt in my mind. You have a passion too. You have a film business. And tell us a little bit about your work in film and why that inspires you.
Okay. Well, my business name is called Ashford Films. My last name, Ashford Films. My mission is to engage culture, inspire change, and impact. So I want my business to represent exactly what I stand for. Exactly, just what you said. What do I want to continue to do in my one life? I want to continue to inspire. I want to encourage my culture. I want to encourage people. And I want to do that through film. So I don't want to just be another videographer who knows how to work the camera and just, hey, I put a video together. No, I need a meaning behind it. I need it to stand for something. I need all of my films to be able to have some type of message to where even if you're looking at a basketball highlight tape, How can I create it in a way to where you still be inspired just off a basketball tape or a wedding or whatever the case is? You know, I don't want to just be your standard videos that you can find anywhere. I want to make sure, to the best of my ability, I send the message that I stand for. That's what Ashford Films is about, and that's what I'm currently growing.
People, are you listening out there? This is what the world needs. Everyone, feel inspired. Please take the words and wisdom of Kyran Ashford and apply them to your life.
Thank you.
Whether that means smiling and waving to someone at the grocery store.
Yes, thank you.
Calling the gas station attendant by name.
Hi, how you doing? That's
It's the littlest things, people, that ripple out and change the world. It genuinely makes people's lives better when you just give that smile. It's free to give. You can give it to everyone. Smile, wave. You know, it doesn't matter how we're feeling on the inside. There are so many days where I'm beaten down, stressed out with work, have too much on my plate, juggling phone calls, emails, text messages from a multitude of real estate clients and high pressure transactions. And when I get out there in the world, no one deserves my face all grumpy and down. They get my best self every day because that's what they deserve. Right. You know, it doesn't matter what's happening inside of us sometimes. When we put our best self forward, when we do what Kyran just spoke to, smile, be courteous, give it our best shot, that's when opportunity blossoms. That's when those moments for growth and change exist. And you will make the world a better place when you configure that little bit of, when you do that. That's
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And just to add to that, if you don't mind, you are 100% right. When you are out in front of the community's face, they deserve the best from you. That's how you contribute to changing the world. Now, there's days, of course, where it can be tough because who knows what you may be going through. And you're trying your best to put a smile on to inspire others when you need a smile for yourself as well. So it takes a lot of understanding who you are and finding the strength to be able to, you know what, I'm bummed out about this situation, but it's still a choice to be stuck in regards to how you feel about that situation. You know, regardless of, you could be dealing with a death in the family, you could be dealing with financial issues or, you know, home issues, whatever the case is, it's still up to you on how you're going to continue to allow yourself to stick in that mood that you're in based off that situation. So there is days where I go up to go to work and I'm working a Southwest flight and I don't feel like smiling, but I have to understand that's my opportunity to grow and understanding that these people need me. That I can't be selfish. I can't be selfish about how I feel at that moment when one of my passengers is flying to a funeral. If I'm walking in what I'm called to do, and that's inspire other people and change lives, I have to set myself to the side for this person. I have to get out of my own way for this person. And that's what I encourage people to do.
And do you ever notice, Kyran, when you go into those moments in those days when you're just having a tough time and maybe you just got off the phone with your best friend, your sister, your brother, that person you do turn to on those rough days, the person that really knows that you're probably crying right before the shift starts or before you make that phone call to a customer? Do you ever notice that when you do put on that smile and get out in that day, regardless of how you might have felt 10 minutes prior, when people start smiling back at you, it just changes everything?
Yep. It reminds me of what I'm doing it for. And it reminds me that's okay. I can get a smile from someone as well too. You know, you don't always have to be the strongest one. There's people out there to encourage you and to rejuvenate you. So it's like, oh man, let me not lose sight of that. Let me keep pushing. Let me keep going.
You know, you're such a good reminder that God is good. And, you know, I have a big old Christian heart for everyone. I don't care what your faith is, what your denomination, Muslim, Jewish, Jehovah's Witness. I don't care where you come from, atheist, you know, just like there are so many reasons right now to embrace being a good citizen, being a good human being. And whatever that source of inspiration is for you, find it, grab it, take hold of it, make friends with people you never thought you could become friends with. You know, it took one moment. I met Kyran in one single instance in a day March of last year, you know, and he took care of my 14-year-old boy a month away from his 15th birthday. And you just took such good care of my baby. And I am so grateful that there are people like you in the world. And I said that a year ago, and I say it again today.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to share with the world right now about who you are or what you want, or, you know, how you're thinking or feeling?
Oh, I believe I said it all. I am very grateful again for this opportunity. I'm grateful for people that are tuned in right now. And I just hope that I've said something that inspired you for change, a mind renewal, or just, you know, being an overall better person, because that's what, in order for this world to change, you have to, you hear it all the time, but it's so true. In order for this world to change, it has to start with you. What if everybody took a moment to look in the mirror and focused on the core things, the hard to deal with things that needed to change? What would we look like? Regardless of the race, regardless of the skin color, what would we look like? How would we then act if we focused on those things that needed to change? How would we interact with each other? How will we interact with our family, our friends? You know what I mean? So, but when we don't look at it from that perspective, that's why this world is dealing with what it's dealing with, because people are uncomfortable with change. So change, look in the mirror, ask yourself, you know what? I may struggle in this area, or I might have an issue with this here. You know what I mean? So this is what I have to change this. What do I look like on the other side once I change it? You're going to be a better person. Do you want to be that better person? That's the question.
Be the change you want to see in the world, right? It's so cliche, but it's so true. And to add to and kind of tie things up together, there are 2 books that I read in 2019 that inspired me to do exactly what you're speaking to. Gary John Bishop, extraordinary life coach, wrote a book called F Yourself. Great book. Great book.
I'm a big note taker. So you said Gary John Bishop?
Gary John Bishop. Yep. I believe he's Scottish. He has a brilliant accent. I actually downloaded an audiobook and I'd listened to it while I was running. And there's really something about that as you're exerting a lot of energy, focusing on building your mind and your spirit while you're building your body. It's kind of a intense way to power up and level up as far as your soul's concerned and your objectives. And then The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
The Power of Habit.
Yeah, great books. If anyone out there listening, watching, hasn't read those 2 books, I highly recommend it. Changing yourself is the hardest thing you can possibly do. It's not easy, you know, and when you're looking at where you're currently at and where you want to be, there are a lot of little steps in between to get there sometimes. And it's just about carving out every day that simple step, that little thing. Right. And maybe today you just smile at 5 strangers. Maybe you smile at 2 because you're uncomfortable with it and you got to start somewhere. But it's about taking the steps that you can and taking the action where you can.
Yeah. Well said. Yes, ma'am. You're very, very, very welcome. Very welcome.
God bless you. I pray that you are blessed the way that you've blessed every single life you've touched. You are just such a kind soul, and I appreciate you so much.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you too. Thank you again for the opportunity.
You're welcome. We'll chat more.
All right.
Bye, sir.